Hey, Nate Webb, DUI attorney from the Webb law firm, here to talk to you about Tiger Woods. I know it's a little bit late, but I was on vacation when this happened, and been meaning to do a video about it, and just wanted to discuss that procedure. So I've been a DUI attorney in Washington State for over 21 years, going on 22 years now, and I wanted just to discuss it. Now, this happened in Florida, and every state is a little bit different on what is required under what they call the implied consent rules for that state. So that means whenever you get a driver's license in a particular state, one of the things that you probably unknown to you, you sign saying, hey, if I ever get arrested for DUI, I won't refuse a breath test, or in this case, a urine test, to check and see if I have any illegal substances in my system. And so if you do, then there are repercussions. And in this particular case, like in Washington State, if you refuse, you're looking at a 1-year license suspension. So in this case, Tiger was obviously approached after a rollover or his car was on the side accident. And he was, everybody's probably seen the videos already, doing some tests like this and things of that nature where they're just trying to determine if there's any impairment. Those kinds of tests are meant more for illegal narcotics than they are for alcohol. Alcohol has what are called standardized field sobriety tests, and there's 3 of those, and those are an HGN test, which is an eye test. I've already discussed this in other videos, a walk and turn test, and a balance test standing on one leg. In this particular case, though, he was asked to do some other additional tests, and these were meant to try to help the officer, or in a case where it's a drug case, what they call a DRE, which is a drug recognition expert who has additional training other than just standardized field sobriety tests to determine whether or not there's impairment. In this case, they did find, in their opinion, there was impairment. And then he was given the opportunity to take a urine test after he provided a breath test, which of course resulted in .000, because as we all know, I don't think that Tiger was drinking, but I think that he may have been overusing prescription medication. That's the allegation. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, but I believe he's since gone and enrolled in some treatment. And so I just wanted to discuss that with you. I know there's a lot of there's a lot of YouTubers out there and a lot of people who don't have any clue as to how DUI process works. And you might see in the media, people are saying, "Oh, he demands a jury trial." Well, that's just a term of art. Everyone's going to do that, and at arraignment, everyone's going to enter a plea of not guilty. It doesn't mean ultimately they're not going to work out some sort of resolution, and they might take it to trial. I kind of doubt they will. So how the process works is, in my opinion, Tiger did everything wrong. He should have known better not to answer any questions, to talk at all. Again, I've already talked about these videos on other videos I've had before on what to do when stopped by an officer. What he should have done is just piped up. I know he did a little flex there by saying he was talking to the president as they arrived, but that didn't help him at all. And so what he should have done is just, not answered any questions and not said anything. Just provided his documentation. They know who he was. And not participated in any of those roadside tests. Whether he did the urine test or not, he would have been given the opportunity at the station to speak with an attorney, as anybody would, and then he could have been given the proper advice from, I'm sure he has a personal attorney there that could have given him the advice on what he should have or should have not done. But he is looking at a 1-year license suspension from my reading of the statute there in Florida, again, as it would be here in Washington for refusing a breath test in this case in Washington. We don't have a refusal for urine tests, although urine tests can be used now, but not for the ultimate purpose of determining alcohol intoxication. But again, this is a drug case. Here in Washington, we rely primarily on blood for that. And so a lot of times an officer will get a warrant for blood to test for narcotics. And so in this particular case, again, in my opinion, Tiger did everything wrong. I don't know why he didn't call his attorney before the cops arrived rather than the president, apparently. because he could have been given advice, because I don't think the president could be in a position to give him advice for that kind of stuff, and probably wouldn't have given him proper advice, to be honest. I don't think he has that information. So he's not an attorney. So I just wanted to discuss it, saying so that all this is normal, what he's doing now from here on out, which is, entering a plea of not guilty. It's not uncommon for someone to then, as a preliminary thing, not that it's court ordered, because it can't be court ordered here in Washington, I don't know in Florida, but to go and seek treatment for the allegation. It's not an admission of guilt by doing so. And so I'll keep updating as this case proceeds, because it's obviously interesting. It's not, unfortunately, Tiger's first experience in this type of situation. I don't know if he has a prescription drug problem. That's for him and his therapist or whoever, his counselor at the facility he's going to go to figure out. I know he's had a lot of trouble with injuries, and that unfortunately is a very common issue, that people can tend to then overuse the pain medication, and he's not alone. It happens to a lot of people where they overuse it and they become reliant upon it and become frankly addicted to it. And so we'll find out, if that's the case for him. Obviously I can't comment on guilt or innocence at this point because it has to play out. But those are my 2 cents. Again, Tiger kind of did everything wrong. If I was there with him, I would have been, hey, keep your mouth shut. Either let me do all the talking, which they probably wouldn't let me do, but just keep your mouth shut and don't do any tests, and just go from there. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. So if you have any questions, you want to watch any of my other videos on what to do in Washington State if you're stopped for a DUI, you can check those out. Again, Nate Webb from the Webb Law Firm. Again, I'll update this as things continue.